Hello and welcome to my guide to building a melee hero in Age of Wonders Planetfall Part 2. In Part 1, which I posted up last week, I talked a little bit about the commander backgrounds that I recommend and the general tips I have for the weapons and mods that you can get in the game, as well as the melee mods you can get from NPC factions, a couple of generic tips, and the racial factions general tips, as well as their hero skills that you can get from the 7 races that you can play at the beginning of the game. You get a couple hero skills you can choose, as well as some weapons and mods. I wanted to talk a little bit about the secret techs and how they combine with the races, but I just simply ran out of time. It was an hour-long video. So in this one, we'll talk a little bit about some extra advice that I saw from the community. Some of the threads had some really good tips that I want to talk about. I'm talk about my general tips for the secret text, and then the hero skill secret, or the secret tech hero skills, and the weapon mods that you can get for the secret text. And after that, we'll just finish with the noteworthy combinations for the secret text and the racial factions. While there is a lot of gear that I didn't talk about in part 1 and I could talk about here, I want to talk about 2 things that somebody pointed out to me, which I think are really, really special. One, Black Egg is an amazing item to put on a melee unit, because if you summon in a penguin adjacent to the target that this unit is already adjacent to, you've got 2 melee units that can stagger a enemy, making it so that they can only have 1 action point if you plan out your attacks just right. And even if you're not using a melee unit, this is a really, really good item that's worth bringing up. You get it from, I believe, an anomaly where you are dealing with some penguins. You can gamble with them and get it that way. And then the other piece of gear that people like is the Herald Dagger. I didn't talk about this, but it has the right of the Herald. If the target is slain by this attack, the user gains Summon the Herald ability until the end of combat, which, if you use that on a unit with this summoning ability or any summoning ability, that should allow you to get another summon on the field. Would love to show you that really quickly. See if it's easy to kill a unit and do that in the next minute or so. If not, there'll be a cut here. So, come closer, little enemies. There we go. Yeah, do your thing. Okay. So now he's got the right of the Herald. Oh boy, he's getting beat up a bit. Of course we're gonna have issues here. Alright, now we can show off that I could use a summon here. We're going to create the Summon Herald, which can go really, really far away. And on their turn, they'll be able to use the egg as well. So yeah, there's a summon here and a summon here. And yeah, let's just forfeit this. so that we can show off a little bit more using this guy. So yeah, the vehicle I have this guy in is actually really good. If you have a melee hero, you can put them in here and take advantage of the ram attack, which gives more damage for each hex moved. Very nice. And something that I missed because I never really played a VAR, but if I did, I bet I'd use this a little bit more. It also gets access to this defensive flame thingy, which is, yeah, it's an AoE that allows you to go in defensive mode. Should it increase your durability. Also, just, yeah, in general, this is a very mobile melee unit. The next thing I want to talk about is Blood Fury Inducers, which if I put this guy in a Pteranodon, it can apply to him because it's a heavy biological or cyborg unit. You can't put on mechanical units and you can't put on light units, so you don't have a lot of options when it comes to your heroes. You have to put them in a vehicle to make them heavy, and yeah, it's just a little tricky to do that with the options that the Amazon have available to them. This does work, and I would recommend it if that's the way you like to play. So we're going to talk about some general synergies for the secret techs, and we'll start with Heritor. They have these siphoners, which are fantastic at resetting melee units. If I run my main dude forward and all the way into the red movement range, I can get really close to enemies that were far away and then reset before they get any time to react. I will try and show that off quickly here. Right now he doesn't have a charge, so he can just do that to get some essence harvest, and then yeah, you hang out there, maybe put this on him, and that's fine. Now I'll show you, I can go all the way up here and reset him with this. And I'll have a lot of DPS. Pretty nice little combination. Energy Drain is awesome because it not only boosts your damage, but allows you to debuff the enemy, making it so that your units will be harder to kill, and also so it's easier for you to kill enemy units. Very nice in general. Next on the list is Celestian, and Celestian are really tanky. They're pretty good at DPS, but they specialize in keeping your units alive. If you get to late game, you'll be able to summon in Ascended Teachers, which grant everybody in the stack Resurgence. I think it's Path of the Light, yeah. They gain Enlightened and Resurgence, which means you save on some mods with the Enlightened thing there. But the Resurgence is massive. It will allow you to keep the units that you lose as long as you win the battles. So super nice. And you don't have to get it Resurgence through that. There's actually a really nice operation in here. It's underneath Tactical. And yeah, it's called Resurgence. It allows you to get the same effect without the Ascended Teacher in the stack. You just cast it on a unit that you think is about to die, and they'll stay around. That can be applied to hero units, so you might as well give it to your strongest melee units on the field. Compared to the other secret techs, Void Tech is very mobile and allows you to get a lot of evasion modifiers on your units. One of my favorite units in their roster is the this one, the Phase Manipulator, because it can abduct enemy units and evacuate friendly ones. That evacuate ability will allow you to heal up guys and bring them back to safety. It's kind of like extra mobility. Yeah, it can reach 7 tiles away, and it brings you the friendly unit to an adjacent hex, giving it 25 HP and 1 shielding. Only a cooldown of 2, so as long as you keep your Phase Manipulator safe and far back, they can just use that on melee units every few turns. The Echo Walkers are also really good at supporting the melee heroes because they can summon in a expendable friendly unit next to whatever unit the melee guy is attacking already. And if they're weaker, the AI will target the weaker unit. If they think they can kill it, they'll try to kill it, even if it's just a little summon. Some would argue that Synumbra is the best option for a melee hero because they get access to some really nice skills that will debuff the enemy. If we look at this guy, I gave him a ethereal sphere, and that can apply broken mind to non-mindless units. If people have broken mind, they're more likely to fumble their attacks. Broken mind, I believe, reduces morale. Yeah, by 200 a stack, which means they're much more likely to fumble if you can get multiple stacks on them. On top of that, the Synumbra have a lot of high DPS attacks, so they can just take out people pretty quickly with their psionic attacks too. Others would say that Xenoplague is the best secret tech for your commander if you're going to try and focus on melee, because you get access to a lot of very powerful melee mods very early in the game. If I just open up this, you'll see I have one here which is great for healing up. That's not that one, it's plague pods. This one is great for healing up units with the thing that says there's Xenoplague, but also it deals damage to in an AoE, so it hits a lot of units either with your friendly ones with a heal or enemy units with a stagger. And this is also super useful. It increases your melee damage by 20%. It says at the top that it will give you an extra level of stagger impact and plus 10% extra damage. Combine that with the 10% there, it's super good. I mean, there's a lot more that I will say on this later when we get to the weapon mods and hero skills, but basically they have more synergy in terms of those things than any of the other secret techs, at least in my opinion. Promethean is one of my favorite secret techs to start with when I'm thinking about playing with a melee commander or making a lot of melee heroes, because it has a lot of really cool support skills and abilities that make it so that your guys are able to heal up while also dealing damage to the enemy, kind of like the Xenoplague with their plague pods. The Purifier units have this ability to launch plasma bombs, which leave a hazard on the ground. Which, when you combine that with, I think it's this one, the Pyrex absorption panels, you can get your guys to heal up a little bit. But you don't have to do that if you've got the Phoenix Walkers, which are right here. If you get all the way down this tree, you get some very, very nice tanky melee units that are a little bit weak to psionic damage, but with all the healing they can get, this unit is incredibly useful in supporting your melee heroes. And if you want, you can put a hero in this vehicle. It's probably one of the better vehicles to put a melee hero in because of all the options it has available to it. It's got really nice strong melee attacks, as well as I think Firestorm and Torment of Flame are kind of like AoEs that do damage to either adjacent thingies or in a cone in front of you. I also really like Plasmoids for the being able to support your melee heroes. They can draw the fire and allow your guys to close the distance without taking as much damage. The Synthesis secret tech is pretty awesome on melee heroes because you can give them the integrated modifier fairly easily, fairly early on, which when you have that, you can then combine that with things like this operation to heal them up and this operation to give them more defenses, making them just a lot harder to take out of the fight. But I also really like how much evasion you get, and there's some things that you can use to resurrect your guys. I think this is one. There may be an operation which works the same way. But yeah, it's just in general really, really useful. I love the little units that you get. I think one of these has some healing. One of those abilities on the network link. And yeah, it's just all around pretty useful to have things like I just talked about on your melee units. Alright, in the interest of time, we're just going to talk about the hero skills that the Xenoplague have available to them, as well as all the other secret techs. I really like rapid movements because skitter means that you can move to the end of your movement into the red, or just to the last place where you can do an attack, and it will be really hard for enemies to hit your unit. You want to be careful about clustering your units, because if they miss this unit, they can still hit the hexes adjacent to it, and that could still hit one of your units if you're say playing Kirko and you like clustering all of your units together. The next one we'll talk about is Parasitic Spray. It can be nice to have that option on your melee unit so that they can stun some units from a little bit of range. Spore Feeding is awesome. It allows there to be more healing in your army. So I would recommend putting this on your Xenoplague heroes if they're going to be doing melee, which they probably should. Regenerative Spore Cloud is similar to Spore Feeding in that it just provides a lot more healing. If you're going to be getting a lot of healing, you probably want to combine that with something that gives you more defenses. Promethean heroes have 2 hero skills which I think are worth putting on your Promethean heroes, because, well, this one gives your guys a lot more armor and thermal resistance. It only applies if your hero is the leader of the army, so you wouldn't want to put that on a hero that is being led by another hero. It's only good on one of those in that situation. And I really like Phoenix Surge because it allows you to pass through cover to get to your enemies, or yeah, you don't have to pass through all your units. If you say have a lot of melee units in between you and your target, you can just jump forward and do an AoE to a bunch of units. Applying burning, which will make it so that other units can shoot the enemies a little bit easier. I would go all in on the melee, so the burning is kind of secondary to the stagger effect. Heritor heroes have 3 hero skills, which I feel like are worth highlighting. I think Essence Seeker is pretty good on melee heroes because they should be able to drain some essence with weapons that don't do entropy damage, and that just makes it easier to grab extra DPS on your melee units. Generally a pretty good thing. Essence Shields is really nice because when they have more charge, they'll get more shields, which means they're protected from everything except for melee attacks. You still have to watch out for that, but if you've got good melee damage, you don't have to worry about people closing the distance and doing melee to you. You'll be able to take them out if they get too close, and at least in general. Deny the Void is really cool because you can get a lot more HP back. You can get a lot of HP back when your unit is supposed to die, keeping them on the field, allowing them to do more damage. If you've got lots and lots of essence, I think you can get I think 60 HP back after your unit falls in combat. At least the first time. They can't do that over and over and over again. Side number heroes have 2 hero skills which I feel like are worth highlighting, one a little bit more than the other. Sinister Course is the one that I think is more valuable. It will reduce the damage resistance and give a little bit of fumble chance to the enemy units that are adjacent to this unit. The non-mindless enemy units doesn't apply to mindless ones, but most of the units in game are mindless, or rather are not mindless, and that means that you'll be able to do a lot more damage to things that are adjacent to this unit. And combine that with the fact that side numbers do a lot of damage means you'll probably be able to clear out most of the enemies that you put adjacent to your side number heroes. I like Anthem of the Abyss just in general. I think that is pretty useful at the beginning of a battle, just to give your guys more crit chance and to make it easier for you to do damage through Broken Mind. That is if you're using a lot of psychic damage. Void Tech heroes have I think 3 really nice hero skills available to them. I really like Phase Shift because it allows you to reposition. Mobility is really important for melee heroes. It only costs 1 action point, so you can do it after like killing a unit and getting your action points back, or just after you've moved really far forward. If you've got one action point left, you can phase shift, I think, up to 7 hexes away, so pretty nice. Shield modulator is good because it gives all the units in the army a little bit more shields. Only great if that hero is leading an army and isn't following another hero. Dimensional feedback will reflect damage back to the attacker, so that's really good on heroes with a lot of HP and maybe a little bit less defenses, as well as a way to regenerate HP. Even not, if not, it's pretty nice in general just to be able to reflect damage back to the attacker. So I feel like Celestian heroes only have one hero skill which is worth highlighting. That is Cleansing Light. It allows you to heal a target as well as remove sass effects. If you have a lot of enlightened units in the battle, which you should as a Celestian, you can get a lot more healing out of this skill. I think 5 times 5 is 25. You can get 45 HP on this. It can only be used once per battle, but yeah, you probably don't need to do that more than once or twice a battle anyways, and if you got another Celestian hero, they can help you out with that healing. Healing is super important for melee units, so yeah, having two heroes support each other with that skill could work out very nicely. Well, Synthesis heroes have a lot of nice hero skills available to them. I think there's only one that's really worth highlighting for melee heroes, and that is Assisted Breach. That allows you to bypass one shield and one armor. Sure, you're gonna by bypassing shields with your melee attacks anyways, but being able to bypass that with bypass that armor, that little bit of armor with your melee heroes is really good, and the Synthesis usually have a lot of ranged units in their armies, so having this apply to everybody in the army of a hero unit and with the skill, if they're leading rather, that's very, very nice. I do like Yusuk is electrified, and mind controlling is pretty useful, but you may not be fighting against a mechanical or cyborg army, so it can be useless in some situations. Alright, let's talk a little bit about some of the Celestian mods and weapons that are available to them. I really like this first mod that you get because it gives you stagger resistance as well as allows you to become enlightened, which pairs really, really well with a lot of their mechanics. There's a doctrine that gives you more damage if a unit is enlightened, so this is a really cheap way to give them enlightened, and that extra defense means that all in all, this is a great way to boost pretty much any unit in the game. There's a lot of races, the starting races that don't have the stagger resistance mods available to them, so having it in the first tier right here is super nice for those people. I like the later game mods because you can get things that debuff the enemy, things that disable them, and things that heal. This is nice to have for healing. It can heal a lot of units, and I think pacification, yeah, this can disable units, making it so that you can just walk through the enemy line and deal with the ones that you want to deal with. I don't think there are very many weapons that I like for them. This is a pretty good one later on in the game, but you know, if you're at that point, you probably don't need weapons like too badly. This is not that good. I don't think it's that interesting. And yeah, just having more healing is okay, but I prefer putting like a rocket launcher on in my secondary slot. Next, we're talking about the Purifier weapons and mods. I think they have a lot of really nice ones for melee units, like this one, which will give you a little bit of healing. It's a free action, so that's super powerful. You can do that and then go attack. You can do that or use and then go use another support ability. So yeah, it's very, very versatile. I also really like the Pyrex absorption panel, so lets you do some healing to units that stand in a thermal hazard, which you can get from purifiers and also from, I think, this operation, and there may be one other way that I'm missing to drop that hazard as Prometheans. I know you can get it through the Doomsday stuff, so that's pretty nice too. I I like putting my heroes in this guy. I consider that a weapon. The vehicle is very nice, but also this in general can give you some I think some nice defensive capabilities. I think they have an ability there that lets you shield people that are nearby. I forget how Force Projector works exactly. Aegis tank. Is that range 5? Range 5. Yeah, it's nice, but this is what's really good for your other units. If you can apply it to other people, that's awesome. Yeah, it doesn't go on your hero units. I wouldn't put it on my hero units. I'd probably build an Aegis tank and have that support them, but there's some nice synergy there. And yeah, I think that's it. Oh, of course, I can't forget about the backlash projectors. This will make it so that you can hurt people that are adjacent to your guy. So yeah, I'd put that on your hero unit if he's going to be getting close into melee range. Cynumbra has a lot of nice weapons and mods that they can use on melee heroes. One of my favorites is getting Consuming Gaze on my guys so that they can heal up if they take a little bit of damage. It's got some range, so you can pull back damaged units, get a little bit of healing. It's got a cooldown of 2 turns, so if the battle drags out, you can use this again later to do even more healing on your damaged units. I really like Pain Mirrors because it reflects, or it doesn't reflect, it does damage to people that attack your unit as long as it's relatively close to the unit. So yeah, your melee guys would probably be able to hurt a lot of units using the Pain Mirrors. I think this is a pretty good weapon right there. It allows you to cage a unit, which I believe keeps them locked in place, allowing you to just run up and attack them. This is a nice little weapon. It's pretty cool. It's unlocked pretty late in the game. And then I think there is Psi-infected Claws somewhere in here, right? Am I missing that? That may be for Kirko or something, actually, now that I think about it. Psi-infected. It's infection. Yeah, it's in Kirko. Never mind. Yeah, if you're playing Kirko, then that's a good option available to you. Provides a lot of debuffs. I really like the mods that the Void Tech have available, and yeah, they pair really well with melee heroes, especially this first one. This tier 1 allows you to walk through obstacles and makes it so you're 50% harder to hit, as well as providing shields. So you've got extra mobility and survivability. The mobility comes from the first thing, and the survivability comes from the 2 things after that. I also really like the grenades here that can allow you to lock a lot of people down in place. You might be able to triple stagger with that, and a bunch of units that have, if you're able to apply this to a bunch of units, you can just throw grenades all over the place, especially units that aren't supposed to have grenades, like say a unit with fast walking. I also really like the phase drive plus the quantum avatar on heavy vehicles. If you've got like a wrecker or a Pteranodon, you can put this on them to have them just kind of like jump around the place and be relatively safe. Or wait, this doesn't let you jump around, that's just the phase thingy. This will give you more defense, which is very good. Shields are very nice. Synthesis have a lot of great mods available to them for their heroes, for their melee heroes, like this one, which will make it so that they're integrated, they get a little bit more defenses, and they're a little bit harder to hit from range attacks. Sure, that doesn't protect you from melee attacks, but if you've got a melee army, you probably won't have to deal with 2 melee attacks, and you'll be able to close the distance a little bit more safely with this. I also really like, where is it? It's not that one, it's this one, I think. Total network integration, because it allows your guys to come back at the end of the battle so long as you win. Very nice, and allows you to be a little bit more reckless with your melee guys. You can just go for offense and hope that you win the battle with their sacrifices. There's some other mods in here that are nice, but not quite as nice as those two. Yeah. Xenoplague have a lot of mods that work really, really well with melee heroes. I already have talked a little bit about Plague Pods and Xenografted Muscles. Plague Pods let you do some healing to your Xenoplague units while staggering other units and also potentially applying infection. The Xenografted Muscles just give you more melee damage, a little bit more staggering. They can also apply the infection thing. But there's also some really, really great stuff as you move down the tree. This provides more healing. This right here gives more HP, as well as allows units to do more damage. It's when a friendly biological or cyborg dies, you'll get more damage. You might be sacrificing like the pustules, that's what they're called, and then this will allow you to get some hyper-aggression going, doing lots and lots of damage and allowing you to take out the enemy first. This is great, gives you some healing as well as extra HP. This allows you to revive a friendly unit, and then if they're non-Xenoplague, it will generate a Xenoplague unit. Super, super nice, all of those mods for a melee hero. Herator has a lot of really nice mods and one nice secondary weapon, which isn't even really a weapon, it just fills that slot for melee heroes. I think there's a lot of good options for the melee heroes in the Herator secret tech tree. To start with, I really like Aztec Gauntlets because it allows you to greatly increase the damage of your melee units. It's very important if you're going to be going for the melee focus, but you also need things that give you more defenses, which you can get right here in the tier 3 tech Aztec Protector Incarnations, which can provide a lot of shielding to adjacent units. It pairs very nicely with units that cluster well together, like the Kirko units, but not necessarily them. I think there's a nice, the Syndicate have some things that benefit adjacent things, as well as a couple others that I can't think of off the top of my mind. And I also really like this mod all the way down here at the end because it allows you to get some healing every time you gain an essence charge, which means if you got a melee unit who's taking some damage, you can just run them forward and hopefully get a couple attacks which will heal up your own units. And as I said earlier, there's this link shard which can provide you quite a bit of shielding and will allow you to get some healing if you want to break the link, which I don't know, could be worth it. Probably isn't if you ask me. So yeah, you've got those options available to you as the Herator. So I've been recording for a while here, and while I would like to show you in game how all of these cheesy combinations work, I think I'll just talk about them, and if you've got more questions, please let me know in the comments down below. The first one we're going to talk about is Wojtek Kirko. You can take the Phase Shift and Shroud Step abilities to allow you to get lots and lots of mobility, maybe even teleporting twice in the same turn if you feel like it. I mean, maybe you want to alter it. I think, hero skill, this one will allow you to move 6 tiles away, and there's a cooldown of 2. You may want to alternate this and the other one to allow you to move around to the best angle of attack, maybe getting a lot of how do I spell this? A lot of flanking attacks. There's an R first, right? Okay. Shroud Step is awesome. It has a cooldown of 3, and this will give you a 1 hex radius around there with smoke. Maybe you want to do that 1 hex away from your enemies so they're not in the smoke, and then you move in really close and attack. I mean, if you're going melee, I don't think the smoke is a factor that you have to worry about, so keep that in mind. Some people really like pairing this with the strong single attack weapons like Heavy Hitter, which makes a lot of sense because I think it leaves you with 1 point when you use that, and same with Phase Shift. You won't have stagger immunity if you don't need stagger immunity if you're going like this because you only really need 1 action point to attack, and you should be okay. It may be worth investing in, but you don't have to do it if you're going for the single attack weapons. You can also pair your guys with Transcendence before you teleport in, and that is a great way to keep your guys from taking too much damage. I mean, that's generally true for anyone, but it's even more true if you're going to be jumping around the map and going ahead of your army. You should have some defensive mods, I think, because you don't really need much if you're going to be using the single attack weapons. They're going to hit pretty hard by themselves. Okay, next is Heritor Kirko, which works really well because Swarm Shielding pairs really well with the Aztec Protection Incarnations. They benefit a lot from being close to each other, and yeah, you might as well keep those guys close to each other if they benefit from those two very powerful mechanics. One is just how Kirko work, and the other is a mod, so it doesn't take that much time to get to, and you'll see a lot of return on that investment very quickly. Promethean Kirko is similar because Swarm Shielding requires that people are close by, and the Pyrex Absorption panels require that you guys are close by to get the benefits. I think if we just put in panels, it'll come up. Yeah, this is the one that heals up when you're standing in a hazard. So just putting all of your guys that have this in the hazard and getting them some sort of shielding is quite nice. And if you got later tier Kirko units, it should help them stay alive and do a lot of damage. I know a lot of people don't like the frenzied, but you know that doesn't mean they're useless. You can still make them pretty useful with the right mods. Heritage Kron have ultra high mobility and ultra high durability. They do have some mods available to them, which will allow them to deal some more damage, but they do focus more on mobility and durability. You can get essence through the protector thingy, or not that, you can get shielding through the protector incarnations that we were just talking about earlier. And when you get attacked, you can get shielding, which I think is a Shakran ability. And also it nerfs the enemies, making it really handy when you're playing offensive with your melee units, which you should be. Quicking shields is awesome on the Shirkan because they can concuss people all around. Awareness is good. Yeah, you just wanna take advantage of those things and all the heals that you can get from like the Shirkan fins. Yeah, I like it. It sounds pretty good. It's a bit weak against psionic attacks, but hey, that's okay. The next one we'll go over is Voidtech Shukran. They can equip 2 grenades on their melee units. They got the Impairing grenades as well as the Voidtech ones. I think they're called Gravity something or others. Pulse grenades, yes. They're great. They're mod, single action, and then the Impairing grenade is also single action. There's a cooldown of 2 on that, and this has a cooldown of 2. So yeah, you can get a lot of staggering done with that combination. I like it a lot, especially if you're going to put that on your Echo Walkers. Yeah, next is Promethean Assembly. If you've got the Pyrex Absorption panels and Assimilation on your heroes, then they can get a lot of passive healing through attacking people or standing in a hazard. You might as well put the hazard on an enemy unit while your guys can heal there too, so that they're just getting a little bit more out of the attacks. I think in general, yeah, they're pretty hard to pull off the map. The assembly and giving them that extra bit of healing makes them really hard to deal with. Promethean Shakran is awesome because they have a melee purifier. Let's go find purifiers. Spell. There we go. There it is. There is a Shakran one right there. He's got the melee claws. They're super cool. Yeah, I think if you can go for that, you should. You know, if you've got this available to you and you're going for a melee build, it sounds super nice to have these guys supporting your heroes. yeah, because they can get close and then apply this every 2 turns to get the burning hazard out there. It's quite nice. Synthesis Syndicate is awesome because you can stack evasion mods which counter ranged units. You know, the melee ones can still get in and do damage, but if you have enough melee units, your enforcers will be able to take out any melee that gets too close. They'll get a lot of attacks against them, and if you're dealing with a little bit of range attacks, the enforcers have that secondary attack, which is, it's got a short range, but it can allow you to deal with the flying units, which not every melee comes with. Celestian Syndicate can give enforcers early stagger resistance. We talked about the mod the Celestians have available to you. I think this may have been a Celestian playthrough. Yeah, this Tenets of Tranquility gives you stagger resistance, enlightened, and a little bit of shielding. Getting that extra shielding on, or rather the stagger resistance, it's massive for melee units. You don't want to be losing out on your action point economy. The melee units are all about reducing the action point economy of enemies and making the most out of what you have, so you need that around. And the last one is Synumbra Kirko. The Kirko initiates have a very strong melee attack. I believe the others are ranged, so you want to try and use them in melee, and maybe putting them next to a melee commander as much as possible. Kirko have some nice survivability mods and skills, so that will really round out the Synumbra's offensive abilities. There's also Psi-Infected Claws, which, yeah, I talked about it earlier. They just make sense if you're going to go for Synumbra, if you can get them, and you can apply a lot of debuffs. And that's it. That's everything I have to say this week. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, all those fun things. Comments are awesome. I love them. So yeah, I'll see you around. Have a good one.